in every sort of discipline and area, there are kind of red flags. So if I think of a common sort of red flag we hear about, is perhaps a marketeer going into a startup to set up marketing, and there's no budget, and the CEO or the founder expects, a ton of leads very quickly. These are kind of red flags where you're thinking the expectations is just totally out of kilter with reality. But from a product marketing perspective, if you were interviewing with a company, then are there any things that you'd be listening for? That would perhaps give you the sort of idea that there are some sort of, this isn't quite right, the sort of job for me. Any sort of red flags you think that might come up?
Yeah, no, and this is a really good question because they say this has helped me in the past, even when I'm applying for new roles, that I usually club it into three areas. One, the biggest one is around product innovation. So the company has to be very product led or very innovative in what they are doing, because finally your CV will be as good as your product is. And it's also because you cannot market features or incremental improvements. You will need to have a strong differentiating product set, and only then you are able to do substantial work. The other part to analyze, I think, is that you should think about whether the impact that you are going to create or the scope will be too limited or you'll be too boxed. So, or will you get too closely and collaboratively work with engineering teams, and you can engage with customers to bring the feedback back and influence the roadmap. And to look at it from the other perspective is that what you should check is that if your employer is throwing everything into product marketing and it is too broad for you to manage, so you have to understand what is the scope and is it impactful enough. And finally, going back to your point on budget, I think that's also a critical factor. And I'm not saying that you must have a 5 or 6 or whatever figure budget, but if you know about the budget, you have fair idea about it, then it gives you some direction on what will be the emphasis on product marketing. So that's a good indicator.
Yeah, good stuff. And your first point, talking about the product, then, I mean, would that be a sort of conversation that you'd be looking to have then with the head of product? Talk to him about the roadmap.
Yes.
What's the vision? What's the product strategy? And then you're trying to gauge it from that kind of conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. You need to talk to maybe head of product or people who are leading product innovation in different segments to know what they are thinking, the direction they are going, what are the competitive pressures they are facing, why are they going in the direction they are going in. So that will give you an idea on what is the vision and how far they are thinking about in terms of product development.